The ancient strategy Putin uses today. The world calls Putin a chess master, right? But what if I told you he isn't inventing those brilliant moves? What if he's just copying them, line for line, from a playbook written by Tsars and KGB chairmen centuries ago? Once you see the pattern, things like Crimea, Georgia, even the invasion of Ukraine, they stop looking like baffling surprises and start reading like history homework you should have done. Welcome to Legends Untold. Look, I'm not saying the guy lacks creativity, I'm saying he doesn't need it. For over 3 centuries, Russia's security doctrine has been shockingly, almost stubbornly, on brand: grab land, flood the airwaves with false nostalgia, and convince your own people that everyone outside the gate is both inferior and, frankly, out to get them. Putin just swapped horses for tanks and parchment for Facebook memes. It's the same old tune, just with a new arrangement. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll be able to flip on the news, spot exactly which page of the old manual Moscow is on, and explain it to your friends before the anchors even finish the headline. We're going to move chronologically: Tsarist blueprint, Soviet upgrade, Putin's very own Control-C Control-V, so you can watch the same 3 tricks evolve from muskets to malware. Grab a coffee, the pattern's about to get impossible to unsee. Section 1, Tsarist blueprint. Peter the Great didn't modernize Russia because he suddenly developed a passion for windmills or Dutch architecture. No, he wanted ships that could blast through the Baltic and a capital close enough to Europe to project power and, yes, threaten it. Between 1700 and 1721, he fought the Swedes, captured Estonia and Latvia, and famously told his court, Russia must cut a window to Europe. The real translation: when you're a vast, sprawling landmass with no natural borders, buffer zones beat geography every single time. It's a defensive expansionist logic that has shaped Russian foreign policy for centuries. A century later, Catherine the Great grabbed Crimea, using the exact same excuse, security, and she wasn't shy about inventing new narratives. She coined the term Novorossiya, or New Russia, to brand the Ukrainian steppes as if they were always destined to be part of her empire, conveniently erasing the existing inhabitants and their history. The expansion playbook was already dog-eared and well-worn. First, claim a security threat, often fabricated or exaggerated. Second, rewrite the map, carving out new territories. Third, flood the new province with loyal settlers to consolidate control. And finally, rewrite history textbooks so kids grow up believing the land was always, unequivocally, Russian. This neo-imperial mindset wasn't just about land, it was about shaping identity and legitimacy. Autocracy, the distinct Russian flavor of centralized power, rode shotgun with every mile of new border. Tsars never really trusted their nobles, or anyone else for that matter, so they created secret police forces, the Oprichniki under Ivan IV, later the Third Section under Nicholas I, long before the KGB started taking glamour shots. Peasants paid in grain and blood, enemies paid in exile or worse. Propaganda back then was crude, sure, but brutally effective. The Tsar was God's anointed, a divine leader, and any foreign contagion, be it Catholicism, Republicanism, or, much later, McDonald's, would surely melt society from within. Replace the West with gay EU NATO and you've got tonight's talk show monologue on Russian state TV. It's the same fear-mongering, just with updated boogeymen. But perhaps the most underrated tactic from this era, one that feels chillingly relevant, was the scorched earth retreat. When Napoleon's Grand Armée rolled toward Moscow in 1812, the Russians didn't stand and fight a losing battle. They retreated, burned crops, destroyed supplies, and left the French emperor to winter in ashes and starvation. 2 centuries later, the same brutal concept, deny, degrade, wait for the cold, shows up in the Donbas. Except now, the burn is digital. They fry cell towers, shut off electricity, flood Twitter with nonsense and disinformation, then blame Ukraine for the blackout. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it sure does love a software update, doesn't it? It's about making your enemy suffer, not just militarily, but psychologically and infrastructurally, breaking their will and capacity to resist. Section 2, Soviet Playbook. When the Bolsheviks took over, Lenin kept that expansionist itch, but he swapped divine right for class struggle, repackaging the empire under a new, supposedly internationalist, banner. Stalin, with ruthless efficiency, industrialized fast enough to beat Hitler, then he parked the Red Army in half of Europe, creating a vast network of satellite states. But the truly sneaky innovation, the one that really got inside people's heads, was in the mind game department. The Soviets coined the term active measures, a rather bland bureaucratic phrase for what was essentially a masterclass in making your opponent trip over his own shoelaces. Step 1, as they saw it, was to fund fringe parties on both extremes of the political spectrum, ensuring the center couldn't possibly hold. The goal wasn't to win an election for one side, but to sow chaos and division, making democratic governance seem impossible. Step 2, plant forged documents, say, a letter supposedly showing the CIA created AIDS, or that American intelligence was behind some nefarious plot. Step 3, sit back and watch. American journalists, caught between free speech and circulation numbers, would debate the validity, inadvertently amplifying the lie. It was a brilliant, cynical strategy for undermining trust and creating internal strife, all without firing a shot. Reflexive control is another Soviet gem that's still very much in play. The idea? Feed an adversary a menu of options, designing each one to look like their own brilliant idea, but ensuring that whichever entree they pick ultimately benefits Moscow. During the Cold War, for instance, the KGB pushed fake studies claiming the US was developing ethnic bioweapons. Washington then spent millions of dollars denying rumors it had never even heard of until the KGB planted them. Think about that, they were reacting to a phantom, wasting resources and legitimacy. Today, you see the same tricks surface as bogus emails about biolabs in Ukraine. Washington rushes to debunk, Moscow screams they protest too much, implying guilt, and the clip racks up millions of views before fact-checkers even wake up. It's a continuous revolutionary struggle, not against a specific ideology, but against the very fabric of liberal democracies. Military doctrine also evolved but never strayed far from the Tsarist concept of deep strike and operational maneuver. Soviet planners pictured a NATO Warsaw-pact war as a three-layer cake: forward troops fix the enemy in place, operational maneuver groups slice through the middle, and long-range rockets gut supply hubs in the rear. This concept of deep battle and deep operations, emphasizing simultaneous strikes across the enemy's entire depth, became a cornerstone of Soviet military thinking. Putin's hypersonic Kinzhal missiles targeting Ukrainian rail nodes use identical math, just faster and, of course, filmed for YouTube. Meanwhile, battalion tactical groups, small, professional, logistically nimble units, echo the Afghanistan-era Spetsnaz companies that propped up the Kabul regime. The uniforms changed, the underlying flowchart, however, did not. Though, it's worth noting that even with these sophisticated doctrines, the Russian military remains hampered by structural inefficiencies, political control, and limited industrial capacity, often preventing the full, effective realization of these historical strategies. Hit the subscribe button and now, if this is starting to look like one long, geopolitical rerun, well, you're getting it. And if you're getting it, you should probably smash that subscribe button. Next, we'll jump to how Putin mixes these imperial and Soviet recipes into a single, terrifying hybrid cocktail: land grabs plus Twitter troll farms. Stay with me, and you'll finish this video fluent in Kremlin body language. Section 3, Putin's modern synthesis. Putin's genius, if you want to call it that, isn't originality. It's timing, and an uncanny ability to dust off old ideas. When he took power in 2000, Russia was broke, NATO was expanding, and the internet could practically fit in a shoebox. So, what did he do? He scanned the attic, found two dusty manuals, one Tsarist, one Soviet, and stitched them together like Frankenstein's monster, only this one's wearing a Ashanka. First, that insatiable Tsarist land hunger. Remember Peter the Great's window to Europe? Putin wants a buffer zone, a grand security perimeter. In 2008, Georgia flirted with NATO, and Russian tanks rolled into South Ossetia within weeks. The playbook? Hand out Russian passports to locals, claim protection of citizens, carve out a buffer zone, and recognize the puppet state. Sound familiar? Swap Abkhazia for Crimea and you get 2014. Putin even recycled Catherine's branding, declaring Crimea historically Russian because Prince Vladimir supposedly got baptized there in 988 AD. Never mind that Kyiv, where the prince actually lived, is also Ukraine's capital. Facts, it seems, are just speed bumps when you're driving straight from page 12 of the 1783 manual. This neo-imperial mindset, which views NATO expansion as an existential threat, is why he pushed those 2021 draft treaties demanding NATO halt expansion and withdraw to its 1997 borders. It's about reasserting a sphere of influence, a historical right to control neighboring states. Second, the Soviet information war turned digital. The Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, a notorious troll farm, hires students for 40 grand a year to run fake Facebook accounts. One operation notoriously pushed both Texas secession and California independence pages, buying ads in rubles because, honestly, why hide? The goal isn't to sell an ideology, it's to sell noise. It's to weaponize history, pushing narratives that frame the 1991 Soviet collapse as a catastrophe, portraying Ukraine as an artificial nation, and justifying military intervention as reclaiming historically Russian lands. If every issue becomes a both sides a lying mess, trust evaporates, and the Kremlin state TV suddenly looks as honest as any other. That cynicism, that erosion of shared reality, that's the product they're selling. These are active measures operating below the threshold of conventional warfare, allowing Russia to conduct coercive activities without triggering a full-scale war response. Elections, of course, are prime hunting ground for this digital warfare. In 2016, Russian hackers stole a congressional candidate's emails, mixed real letters with doctored ones, then dumped the whole pile 2 days before the vote. The media, chasing the shiny new scandal, amplified the story. The candidate lost by a mere 800 ballots, and Russia learned you can flip a seat for the price of a used Toyota. They repeated the recipe in France in 2017, Germany in 2021, and the US in 2020, tweaking the language but never the objective: make democracy look messy, make autocracy look stable, and sell that perceived stability to restless voters around the world. It's part of a continuous revolutionary struggle against the Western-led global order. Energy is the modern scorched earth. When Lithuania threatened to enforce EU sanctions on Kaliningrad, Moscow throttled electricity flows days later. No troops, no tanks, just a valve, a shrug, and a chilling message. Same with gas prices in 2021. Cut supply, wait for inflation to bite, then watch European parties quarrel over who gets cold showers. The physical battlefield moved to the commodity exchange, but the psychological effect mirrors 1812, make them feel winter coming, make them desperate, make them question their alliances. It's a powerful tool to challenge US and NATO dominance, aiming to restore Russia's great power status through unconventional means. Meanwhile, military reforms under Putin grafted Soviet depth onto boutique modernity. Battalion tactical groups, 800 guys, tanks, artillery, air defense, and drones all in one package, let Russia fight small wars without officially declaring them. They slip across borders, wave passports, seize an airport, and dare the world to respond to something short of Article 5. And when losses mount, Wagner mercenaries step in, legal insulation straight from the Tsar's Cossack outsourcing playbook. Dead contractors, after all, don't trigger draft protests at home. This approach, favoring small, professionalized units for local conflicts, stems from lessons learned in Chechnya, Georgia, and Ukraine, though it's still often undermined by Putin's centralized, autocratic control and micromanagement, a historical pattern of distrust in military elites that often leads to operational rigidity and high casualties. Putin's speeches are where this synthesis truly shines. In 2022, he called Ukraine historically Russian land, a phrase lifted directly from Peter the Great's diary. Then, in the very next breath, he blamed the West for color revolutions, a classic Soviet trope dating back to 1950s Hungary. He'll quote an 18th century philosopher, a 20th century spy chief, and a 21st century blogger in the same paragraph, stitching imperial nostalgia, KGB paranoia, and meme culture into a quilt that covers every ideological bed. It's all part of his Eurasianist worldview, which rejects Western liberalism and frames Russia as a distinct civilization in continuous struggle against the West. The result? A foreign policy that looks wildly opportunistic on the surface but is, in fact, remarkably consistent: probe weak borders, hack divided societies, weaponize history, and always frame Russia as the besieged fortress, heroically fending off external threats. The tactic works because outsiders assume leaders update their software. Putin doesn't, he just installs old DOS programs on brand new laptops and calls it innovation. So, next time you see headlines about mystery explosions in Moldova or a sudden, organic-looking push for Texas independence on social media, don't fall into shock. Don't assume it's random. Flip open the Tsarist Atlas, skim the KGB's active measures syllabus, and I promise you'll find the chapter being quoted almost verbatim. Putin isn't a master improviser, he's a master archivist, pulling yellowed pages from imperial and Soviet binders, then broadcasting them in 4K. Recognizing the script won't magically stop tanks, but it absolutely stops us from falling for the same sucker punches our ancestors did. And the faster the world spots this pattern, the quicker we can start writing a new playbook, one where history's loop finally breaks. If you want more deep dives that connect yesterday's wars to tomorrow's headlines, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Drop a comment telling me which historical reboot we should expose next, and please, share this video with anyone who still thinks current events are just random chaos. Let's keep decoding the world together.